Immanuel Kant, who lived from 1724 to 1804, was a German philosopher and one of the most important thinkers in Western philosophy. Kant was born in the city of Königsberg, which is now Kaliningrad, Russia, into a strict Protestant family. His parents were ordinary folk, and his upbringing was heavily influenced by pietism, which is a movement within Christianity that emphasizes duty, self-discipline and moral conduct. This would later play a big part in his ethics. Immanuel Kant was a bright and inquisitive child, and thanks to his talents, he got the chance to study at the University of Königsberg, where he focused on mathematics, physics and philosophy. He worked for many years as a lecturer before writing his famous philosophical works. Kant's ethics revolve around rational deontological ethics. He believed that moral choices should be made based on reason and not on emotions or consequences. He formulated the categorical imperative. That's a universal moral law that obliges us to always act in the same way we would expect others to act. His most famous formulation of this is, act only according to that maxim whereby you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. A maxim is the personal rule or motivation behind an action. For example, if you're thinking about lying, you should ask yourself, what would happen if everyone lied? If that would lead to a world where no one trusts each other anymore, then the action is indefensible and immoral. It emphasizes that an action must be morally good for everyone, and that you should only act in such a way if you would want others to act in the same way. An important principle of Kant's is that moral rules always apply, without exceptions. For example, you shouldn't steal even if you're hungry. You shouldn't lie, not even to save someone. Because if everyone broke these rules whenever it suited them, these rules would lose their value. Moral laws must be unconditional and universal. Act in such a way that you always treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never simply as a means, but always at the same time as an end. You should never use others solely to achieve your own goals. You must always respect their value as a person and not just see them as a means to get something for yourself. Kant believed that true freedom doesn't mean you can just do whatever you want, but that you act rationally and morally correctly. He saw people as autonomous beings who are capable of determining their own moral law, but only by using reason. This means that ethics shouldn't be based on religion, tradition or emotions, but on rational thought. So Kant's philosophy revolves around universal moral principles, duty and autonomy. He argues that we should always act in such a way that our choices could serve as universal laws for every human being. Treat others as you would like to be treated yourself. The Golden Rule is very similar to Kant's universally applicable standards for moral behavior. This Golden Rule can be found in the Bible, Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. Kant's strict but rational view on ethics has had a lasting influence and is still discussed in moral and philosophical debates.